When you're tackling the LNAT comprehension section, should you be reading the questions first or should you read the passage first? When you talk to students who have recently taken their LNAT, the most commonly heard comment is, if there was just a little more time, then I could have done much better in the test. So why is it that everybody is complaining about the lack of time when it comes to the LNAT section A? Well, let's look at what is the challenge here. There are 12 passages in the actual LNAT test, and the average length of these passages is around 500 words, and you have 42 MCQs that you have to answer within 95 minutes. Now 95 divided by 42 will arrive at 2.26 minutes per question. So for a passage with 3 MCQs, you will have 6.78 minutes to read a passage that is almost as long as a A4 size sheet, and you have to answer the 3 MCQs that are based on that passage. And for passages with 4 MCQs, you have 9.04 minutes. So these are relatively complex passages, and you will not have too many direct answers. So you will have to read all the lines of the passage, read between the lines of the passage, understand the passage, only then you will be able to successfully answer these MCQs. So that is the challenge. This goes on to prove that time management is the key to cracking the LNAT. So that brings us to the question around what is the most efficient way of dealing with the comprehension section of LNAT. Should we read the passages first or should we read the questions first? Which will give us better results? Let us first consider the approach where we read the passage first. The advantage here is that we get a holistic understanding or a high-level understanding of the entire passage. What is the passage all about? What is it that the author is trying to convey? And we can also form a mental map of the entire passage as to how is the author discussing that particular topic and which part of the passage is addressing which aspect of that particular topic. And subsequently, when we read the questions, we get a better context for the questions. What is it that the questions are actually asking us? And reading the passage first is also a good approach when it comes to dealing with inference questions, where we have to have a high-level understanding of the entire passage. That is, we have to see the big picture to be able to answer these questions. And various studies have also shown that if students read the passage first, they seem to have a higher level of accuracy when it comes to MCQ type questions. But then again, there are some disadvantages of reading the passage first. That is, this is not a focused approach. We are trying to read the entire passage without having an idea as to what the questions are going to be asking us. Right? So this is not time efficient. And if we spend too much of a time in reading the passage, then we might have less time for the subsequent review of our answers. And if we come across questions where we are looking for answers that are directly given in the passage, at that point, we will have to go back to the passage and search through the entirety to be able to find the answer. So which means that by reading the passage first, we might have to do quite a bit of back and forth between the questions and the passage. Next, let us talk about the approach where we read the questions first. Since we already know what the questions are asking us, this can be considered as a targeted reading approach, where we can scan and skim through the passage and focus only on the relevant parts of the passage which will help us answer the questions. And this approach is definitely better for direct questions, where we are looking for answers which are available directly within the passage. That is, we are not looking for any inferences, right? We are looking for statements, we are looking for facts. And students who read the questions first have shown a higher completion level consistently on exams like the LNAT. That is, they seem to have less number of unanswered questions. And there are some disadvantages for this approach as well. That is, we tend to get a very shallow understanding of the entire passage because we are already looking for the answers and we tend to ignore some of the parts of the passage. We don't get a holistic view. We don't get a high level understanding of the entire passage. So this is not an ideal approach when it comes to inference questions. And we have seen that students who tend to read the questions first and then read the passage seem to have a lower accuracy level. Even though they are answering a higher number of questions, their accuracy level seems to be on a lower side. The third approach that you can use and that I would recommend when it comes to tackling exams like the LNAT is the hybrid approach, where you skim through the passage quickly to get a quick understanding of what the passage is all about, then move on to the questions. And Once you know what the questions are asking, then return to the passage, and that is when you can do a more focused reading. And this is a balanced approach where you are losing a little bit of time because you are reading the passage twice, but then you are getting a better understanding of the passage and you are also able to focus on the relevant parts of the passage during your second reading. So this is the approach that I would recommend you should be using for the LNAT. Now that we have considered all the three approaches, you have to identify the one that works best for you, because there is no one approach that will work for everybody. Identify the approach that works with consideration to your reading style and your comprehension abilities. Now to do this, you have to access the LNAT LNAT practice tests and try 2 full-length tests using each of these 3 approaches. And looking at the scores or the results, you'll be able to identify which gives you the best balance between time and accuracy. That is, which approach allows you to answer the maximum number of questions with a high level of accuracy. And once you have identified the approach that works best for you, then it is all about practice, practice, and more practice. Do check out lawmen.uk, where you will find plenty of resources and plenty of articles which will help you in the preparation for your LNAT. And you can also try the free LNAT practice paper that is available on our website. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, you can reach us at hello@lawmen.uk.